Everybody, hello. This is episode 38 of my Property People podcast, and today we have Lewis Wood, who is a practicing architect of Mattison Associates, based in the Isle of Wight, but also, which is why Lewis is here to join us today, is to talk about he's also a co-founder of something called Pulse, which is transforming the way practices deal with admin and so on and so forth. He'll talk about that now in more detail, but ultimately, Lewis, welcome. If you wanted to let us all know about who you are, your background, and ultimately Pulse, please.
Sure, thanks for having me. So my background is kind of as a practicing architect, kind of working for many years in London doing kind of large scale residential, so kind of working between big practice, and then in kind of the past kind of 4 or 5 years went into more smaller practice, working kind of luxury high-end residential, and working directly with end user clients. I think in big practice you're mainly working with either developers or non-end users, so the relationship's quite different. And I think when I got into small practice, I realized there was a gap in the market for systems to be in place to improve the way we work, workflows, retain more time, and get back to kind of the design work. So my background is kind of in always looking at how technology is advancing within the industry,
Okay.
always trying to find ways to increase workflow or productivity and give myself back more time. So I've been doing that for a long time for myself, where I would try and use, this is like, it predates AI, I guess, when I was trying to use kind of different systems I could put in place to improve my own workflow and produce
Okay.
my own outputs.
Yeah.
And that's kind of evolved over time as AI has grown into starting to utilize how can I implement AI within that to actually really evolve how we work. And that's kind
Okay.
of where the initial idea of Pulse came from. It started as a very different concept. When I first came up with it, it was a different name, it was a different
Yeah.
animal, and it's just slowly evolved over time to become what Pulse is today.
With the AI element, is that external AI or is that something of your own that you've now built into the platform?
So what we utilize is we to build your own kind of LLM AI type thing, local language model,
Yes.
basically becomes quite a robust task. No one's building their own LLMs other than the big players.
Okay.
So you have even quite big AI companies that you see out there now doing project management or doing management tools. They don't have their own AIs. They utilize models that already exist. So OpenAI, Claude, Anthropic, all those types of AIs that are already out there, you are API plugging into the back end of them to ensure that you are using those systems which have all the servers, all the data available, and then you're then putting basically what is like a window into it on your
Okay.
system.
Yeah.
So you're looking through it through a lens basically that is programmed to be unique to your industry. So
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
where our approach of vertical AI comes from. So the difference between vertical AI and horizontal AI is that vertical is stacked against the industry you're in, and horizontal is across a broad perspective. So horizontal is where you would ask them like ChatGPT. It knows a lot of everything, but isn't specific to your industry.
Yes.
So it can make mistakes, it can hallucinate, it can guess things, or it can give you what you're leaning into. You'll know with lots of AIs and chatbots you talk to, it leans into the answer you want rather than the
Yes.
actual answer it
It
should
does.
give.
Yes. Yeah.
So the idea is that the vertical AI stack tries to eliminate that process by having
Okay.
data sets built in, checkpoints built in. So when you're asking a question, it's using data it has within your company rather than guessing and searching for data.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
that's I think where our kind of core value was brought into Pulse,
Yes.
was this secure system. It's built within your company structure, you stay within this kind of bubble of your own AI, and it
Yeah.
only uses your data for yourselves. So
Okay.
it becomes a very secure network for you to use AI within.
And so that was the obviously the initial premise on the platform in which you built Pulse, I presume. So you had to look at the vertical AI and build your product around it.
I think, yes, we built the product around this vertical stack because the initial kind of concept was it can be evolved to every service-based industry. But we obviously understand architecture best. It's what we do daily, and we understand the end result, what it should be. We just, at the minute, obviously, it just takes us a long time to get there because we're having to do all the admin ourselves. So if we know that we need to, like things like fee burn, I can check that on a system myself, but it takes me a long time to do to go through all the data and pull it all out.
Of course. Yeah.
Whereas actually, if the AI can find that for me and get me to that endpoint quite quick, it
Okay.
makes that task redundant, basically. But so the idea of the vertical stack was that we can test the data. We know what the response should be. We know where it should
Yes.
go and what the answers should be. We should be getting are. So we're almost using architecture, one, to help ourselves, and get our own pain points solved, but two, to then have it as a testing ground for other industries.
That's your plan, is it, as well, to not just focus on architecture and everything that it can do, but to roll it out across all disciplines?
It definitely is a focus on creative-based service industries, because we feel like that's where there's the most frustration. And I think it's almost like sidestepping into other industries that are close by. So interior design, product design, construction, those are industries which have similar pain points, which we can then evolve ours from.
Okay. So how, I've spoken to your co-founder beforehand, Lindsay. How kind of far into the process are you now, would you say? Is it finished and ready to go? I know you've done a few beta testings and things like that. Where are you right now?
Yeah, so I think the evolution of the product has taken longer than expected. And I think it stems from, as we've been growing it, or not growing it, building it, AI has evolved so much in that period. And I think we're trying to make sure that we're still at the forefront of what we're trying to achieve.
Yes.
And that ours is a system that you can just hop onto and just start using and not feel like you're having to learn something whole new or try and reinvent the wheel. Where we are now is at the kind of final stage of MVP launch. So the product is ready. It's just being refined to ensure that it gives the best value. So I think it's at that point where it should be in the next couple of weeks that we start rolling it out to our waitlist, and then from there we'll release it publicly. The idea is to go initially do beta testing with a select few practices off the waitlist so that we can get real world feedback straight away and make changes that are accustomed to how the end user uses it, and then to release to the full waitlist, and then to release publicly.
Okay. So you've already had however many months coming up to today to get to where you are. And now is the mega kind of crucial and exciting time, isn't it, basically? Because the real life feedback is coming imminently. Yeah. Which I'm sure will be positive, looking at what I've seen so far.
I think it is. It's always that's the very nerve-wracking, that challenge of launching, because it's that different stage of moving from building a product, which is where I kind of specialize in, is that technical side of things, to then becoming a sales rep, which is not my forte.
Yeah. But
I think it's that shift in, I think as a founder, you have to become a bit of a chameleon and learn how to do different elements of a business. I think what we have had is quite a good launch pad so far, with kind of winning the Design and Build UK thing with London Construction Week.
Yes.
And having almost the endorsement from them. And then I think that was a pivotal point for me, I guess, was having to speak about the product on a stage publicly. I'm not great at public speaking. I've never really done it. So it was a challenge that was out of my comfort zone, which I'm glad I did.
And that was only very recently as well, wasn't it? In the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, it was only a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Which was exciting. And I think what was good as well was having different industry experts sat on a panel asking me direct questions about the product, which meant I had to answer on my feet, which meant it was a true reflection of what it actually does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which was quite good.
And talk to me about that then. So sorry, you won, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, which in itself is testament to what you've built, and it goes to show that obviously those you're speaking to and those that have seen it already, are confident and impressed with what you've done. So that's a huge tick in the box of your stage to where you are now, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is, and it was great to hear feedback and to understand what the other people's pain points are within the people that were there. Yeah, and I think what was good to hear, I guess, was winning was great. It was great to have that kind of that backing and that kind of, yes, we are doing the right thing. And I think secondly, it was good to hear from the panel post that, who were in different industries, some in construction, some in other parts of the industry, who came to us straight away and were like, when can you build it for our industry? And it's a case of there is this growth for it, that there is this interest in it. And I think being able to build that network with those people was really helpful, because it means, like I was saying, in the future, I would definitely reach out to them to say, would you be willing to come in for like a session where I can understand your industry better and really tailor the next version of Pulse to different industries. So I think what I'm always trying to do is grow from feedback, always trying to hear what the pain points are from other people in the industry and learn from that. One other thing the reason I was in London last week was to go to an AI founders event hosted by Ackroyd Lowry Architects. John and Ollie there hosted like a dinner there, and where lots of different AI kind of leaders came to sit and chat about what they're building. And it ranged from kind of huge kind of people doing massive things in AI to just small kind of people my age or younger doing niche things on it. So it's great to hear what people are up to within the architecture space. it also kind of puts you in perspective about what's around you.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So what not to build and what to build.
Did they? What was that feedback on what you've built then?
I think it's always going to be, especially architects who understand AI a lot better than others.
Yeah.
The interest from them is going to be different to the ones we're kind of other ones we're speaking to who don't have much AI intervention yet.
Yes.
I think because lots of the ones who understand it better can build kind of small pieces of AI that can help them within their business. So then they kind of have the perspective of, why do I need to have a system in place that does it for me if I can build little plugins here and here, which does work, but you then have to maintain that. You then have to make sure the security's there, the risk is monitored, and that you're not sharing people's data. Like, lots of people use Claude Code, things like that, and it's like you're putting it into this big ecosystem where you don't actually know the logistics behind the scene of what happens with that data. So I think from our perspective, we're architects working for architects. So we're trying to we know the security risks of clients' data, we understand what we can and can't keep, and we know that they want to have security that is all kept within their own bubble, and also that it's maintained for them, and that it can just pay a subscription a month and have the best of the ability of what they could build, but in a more streamlined, secure way.
That line alone is your USP, isn't it? You say about earlier, you're not kind of into sales and all the rest of it. It kind of sells itself, doesn't it?
Mm.
Excuse me. Just from that USP, that line alone, doesn't it? That's how you need to go to practices and businesses, with that one-liner.
I agree with that. It is. I think that's how we've tried to approach it more with businesses, because you can spend thousands and years building small tools that might not quite meet the thing you need to do, and then you want to do something else alongside that, and it makes it completely differently. I think it's just, you either have to be able to employ a full-time AI support team within your practice, which only really works if you're a big practice.
Yeah.
Or as a director of a practice, you have to understand AI very well and be willing to put the time in yourself to build something. Or you could just buy Pulse.
Exactly. And that is, there you go. And that's why people buy these things.
I think with Pulse as well, one of our key things we've been talking about as well is we're just the kind of base layer of what we've built so far is the base layer of it. We're obviously going to evolve it further. Also, what we're trying to do is become your almost an AI partner within your practice, so that you can talk to us and say, actually, do you know what we really need? We need to do this. And we'll go, yeah, come on, let's work it out, and we'll iterate it for you. And we can either work on an enterprise level, and you can make Pulse and then have your own version of it that's evolved to your practice exactly. And then there'd be elements that we add into the main version. But you can then have basically a custom-built system with Pulse eventually that really is tailored to your practice, but that we maintain, so that you've got that it will always run, it will always work. It has a full dedicated support team and systems team to make sure it's always working, and you've got a technical support team which you can call and be like, it's not working, they'll fix it for you. So you kind of get the best of both with Pulse.
Yeah, that is, if I was in industry, to be honest with you, it's what they call a no-brainer, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
That's the approach that you want, and that's kind of where you are. That's where you're heading, basically, isn't it? It's now
exactly
not the difficult bit, because it sells itself, but it's getting it in front of the right audience. Things like this podcast alone, tens of thousands of people will see this through Architecture Vogue, and I've got 22,000 followers on LinkedIn, so it's often the hardest thing. When I started Architecture Vogue, the hardest thing is getting the first few, and then eventually when people like what you do and they can see the benefit, it starts to snowball, and that's when you
I agree with that. It is that architects are always quite drawn back, I guess, against new softwares, new tools. And there's a range of what people use still. Some are still on Word documents and spreadsheets, and some are on using AI to completely evolve their systems. So it is a wide range to try to approach, and you're trying to get people to change. And I think that's where, like, there's been certain shifts in the builder Pulse. There's been things where I think during the initial kind of round table I did with lots of industry people to figure out when we were first building Pulse, and you had some there being like, oh, it needs to have a timesheet system, it needs to have this, it needs to have that, and it's like, we're not trying to be this robust CRM system that everyone has to use. The idea is that Pulse is this intelligent layer that sits above your current systems and plugs into them and draws the data up, and then presents it in a way that means you can just action it. So instead of having to look through all those data sets to find out where your fees are, where your scope is, or is that included, Pulse will just come up with the alert and say, that's not the client's requested their kitchen design by email. You haven't scoped for that. Here's the revised scope for it. Would you like me to send to the client for approval? Yes.
Yeah.
And that's my whole task done.
Yeah. Yeah. Why? Well, that is, yeah, it's time is money, and this is a time saving product, isn't it? Ultimately, that's what it boils down to. It's ease of use, tick, time saving, tick. You know, that's it. It needs rolling out, as you say, not just architects, interior designers, luxury property developers, anybody in your space that could benefit from this, which are hundreds of sites. The list is endless, isn't it? Basically,
it definitely is, and I think the reason it's like it doesn't get rolled out across multiple industries in the first instance is one, it's that testing ground, and two, it's it's because we've used like ARB, REBA data type things, and plans of work type thing to make sure that it's following a strict workflow. It doesn't guess the work stage. It doesn't guess how things should be done. It knows how they should be done.
Yeah.
And I think I did this diagram I did like a document recently about it was like a brochure for Pulse to go to architects, which focused in on this timeline basically within your practice. So like from day one, it's activating for you. By day 30, it understands you better, and by 1 year, it's your best employee. Because the longer you use it, the more data it has to learn from.
Yeah, of course.
And the more it evolves. So it evolves with your practice, basically.
Well, the bit I picked up on from a couple of minutes ago was actually, you're quite right, it's for everybody to use within the industry, but what's quite crucial here, another one of the selling points, is you do make it specific for your practice. You guys run it, so you're in charge of the safety, security, data, blah, blah, blah. But actually, if it was for ABC architects, and that's how a business builds on it, because they're using it day in, day out, then it just becomes your best, another line to use. It becomes your best employee.
It does, yeah. I think you referred to it as the associate that never leaves.
Yeah.
Obviously, you train your team up to a certain standard. You say you've got them for 5-6 years. They leave, half their memory goes with them.
Yeah.
We're not trying to replace employees. We're just trying to retain the information they've learned.
Yeah. Wow. Well, there's you do not need to be a top sales rep for this, quite frankly, because it will. It's once the momentum goes, and like I say, things like this, obviously winning the award recently a couple of weeks ago in London, all of those things are credit, and they're huge significance to what you've done so far.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. It's amazing, like this amount of support you've got for it so far, and I think it is just that now getting it into the hands of people, and rolling it out. I think for me, it will never be ready, but that's me. It's because I'm working almost 6 months ahead of where it currently is, and I know what the next features and what not the next features, but what the next uses of it will be. From the start, I guess I learned quite quickly. You don't build features; you build almost a system that works for a purpose. Because you can tack on as many features as you want to a software when you're developing it, but it's the case of, will your end user use them? Yes. And so you've got to launch with the ones that solve a clear pain point. Even if you only launched with one clear goal, that's better than just adding stuff on to make it look cooler. It's more that it becomes more of an ego thing, I guess, sometimes, with when you're, I'd love it to do this, I'd love it to do that, and you're trying to solve more problems at the same time. Yeah. But I think what I did was, when I've got work with the first prototype of it, I logged in and I got so overwhelmed by how much was on it, and instantly was like, this won't work. I was like, because what will happen, architects will log in for the first time. If it's too slow, if it takes more than 10 minutes to onboard something, or it takes a long time to do anything, they're coming straight off it. Yeah, absolutely. Because I would do the same. I'm not I'm not typing anything manually, all that kind of stuff. And that was my biggest thing that I changed in the software as it evolved, was to remove all manual data entry, so that it's drawing from data you've already given it or conversations you've already had, to fill in all the fields for you. So when you go in, it should just be, okay, that's all correct, click approve. So it's really trying to streamline the process of onboarding, how you use it. And I even said for MVP, why don't we turn off, even if we've got features ready to launch later on, potentially let's reduce the ones that are there available from the get-go, so that people it evolves with the person, so they don't feel so overwhelmed when they log into it, that is everything on there. Okay. So yeah.
Well, it's also, there's a danger, because you said you're excited because it's yours, you've created it with Lindsay, and it's but you're already 6 months ahead of where you want it to be, because you know what's coming. But there is an element of not running before you can walk, but you kind of know where I'm at. It's, as you said, the example of somebody logging in and be overwhelmed, can't see the wood for the trees, there's so much information overload, people will leave. So I think taking the considered approach is the right way ahead. And then once people are in and they can use it and see the benefit, then you can start to build on it.
Yeah, I agree with that. It is as well. It's a fine line between the where you are and the story you're telling, because I guess the full story is this is what Pulse will evolve into.
Yes.
But we're starting at these points because these are the clear friction points in the industry at the moment that we're going to solve with this tool. So it's that kind of like trying to be like open about what we're actually doing as a company, but also not trying to oversell what we're delivering. Because what you don't want to sell is something that people then log on and go, it's not what I thought it'd be.
Yeah, of course.
You want to find that sweet balance of this is what we're currently doing, this is the problem we're solving, and this is what we're trying to do in the future. Start now, and it will evolve with your company. So
you need to join the journey from day one, so that it can build and become that employee that every day you are teaching and it's learning. So that 6 months down the line, it is you can't live without. You need to be at the point where companies cannot live without it.
That would be the goal of it. And I think it's that the aim is to kind of streamline all of the admin processes within a practice, the clear pain points. I mean, I think the pain points I've kind of pulled out at the initial start of it was, I think it's when my job kind of transferred from being a project architect to an associate. It was that transition within my career that made me start looking into building something. And that was because I transitioned from doing project delivery work to team management work. I went from running projects and doing design work to just managing people and clients. And initially, the software I built was actually a client. It was originally called a client-centric software. It was all about the client relationship, which evolved over time into a more intelligent system, which sits within the practice but has this client arm. Yes. My kind of pain point I was trying to solve at the start was streamlining client communications and having a client better understand their project and know where they are. Yeah. I think it's from my perspective, I was dealing with client inquiries non-stop about where are we on this, what's happened with this, what am I paying next, why is my biggest pet peeve was always questions on invoice, because I did all the invoicing. And it would be about why are we being charged this? And I'd always query back to them, but we're still within the fee scope, like we're still within the fee we've provided. Yeah. And I think it was that just they didn't understand where they were on their project a lot of the time. They don't have it. You forget that as an architect, you're inside that project every day. The client isn't. The client has a company, a family, a job, all those other things that they're dealing with. Yeah. And it's not the most important thing in their life. And they want to be able to understand it better. And their initial reaction is just to come to you and go, where are we? Whereas lots of them now are used to having things like banking apps, delivery apps, all these different apps which can do things for them. Why can't they have that with their architect where they just log on and see exactly where they are and get the information to them? And the kind of idea of it is that if a client emails like me and I'm on Pulse and it asks me a question that's already asked me to say it asks me, have I got my planning drawings, or are they? If Pulse knows they're in the approved folder, they've been approved by the client and the architect, it will send the client the link to them and just give them and the architect always just has to approve things. There's always that human intervention from the architect to approve the decision. So there's always a human involved in it, but it just streamlines the whole situation so that you're not having to go through my folders, I'm having to check that they've been approved, copy them all into an email, send them to the client, write the draft response. That's all done for you, and you just click approve.
I mean, I'm assuming from a client homeowner's point of view, there's not an element as well where the clients can have partial access, so any given time they can see admin and process, they could log in. So part of your fee, they get, part access to Pulse where they can see their particular project. They're looking at, yes, it's gone to planning, it's been approved, and whatever stage it's at.
Yeah, there's a whole client interface on it. So there's a client dashboard built into Pulse. So every project you set up on Pulse, you invite your clients to it, and they have a different screen they see, which is obviously a lot less limited information, but gives them the full timeline of where they are, so they know exactly what stage they are, gets milestones, because they can see their fee, their scope. Every drawing that's been issued to a client for approval goes through Pulse. We have a system on it where basically the drawing appears on their screen. which they can actually click on their drawing within Pulse and comment directly on it.
Okay, right.
So so all the feedback's monitored and logged through Pulse.
Yeah.
So when they click, they might say, "You've got a plan here. Move that window. I don't want a window there. Or make that window opaque." Things like that. That will come through once they hit return comment. That comes up in the architect as a approval.
Yeah.
We then look at it, click it. We can make changes, upload a revision, and send it back to the client for approval. It also does your internal approvals. So say a junior team member is the one making the changes, they can't issue to a client. It will issue it to their line manager or their senior architect or their director, who then reviews it, and they then have the option to send to client for approval.
Wow, well, it is a full 360 package then, basically, isn't it? I wasn't aware that the client could have partial access as well.
Yeah, the client has a whole client arm to it, which is a dashboard for them where they can see all the different things going on in their project. They know where they are in terms of fee burn, scope, completion. It also has construction updates when you're on site, so you can do all your photos on site. You upload them through Pulse. It appears, so instead of doing progress reports each month at site visits, they log on to Pulse. They can click on construction and go into there and see their site progressing.
Okay, wow.
They can also do, what else is on there? They can ask AI, which is the AI within there, and that's where it drops even further down. Basically, you have the AI built within your company bubble. You have it then built within a project bubble. So none of the client's data is shared between other clients on projects. It's used, there's data shared between overall project statistics.
Yes.
So based on, so no private data shared, it's the statistics on tasks against delivery. So what happens is over time, Pulse will learn from your past three or four or five projects about what each task did. It gives you an indication of, on a project that was 300 square meters at a £2 million build, you had a design and access statement that took you quoted the scope for 30 hours, it took you 60 hours. So on the future projects, we would recommend your scope be X, Y, and Z, and this is the fee for it. So it's allowing you to evolve your practice to actually learn from past mistakes.
Of course, yeah. Well, I think it's, I'm certainly sold, let's put it that way. It's a shame I'm not your target audience, but the passion and drive you have behind what you have created is, hats off to you, basically, and it's...
Thank you.
I will do all I can to shout from the rooftops, because I genuinely think once this starts to get momentum, I mean, we talked about baby steps and, all the rest of it, but actually this is a global product, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is global. We've kind of had, we've got advisors from kind of different countries that have helped kind of shape our thinking around it. And I think from our perspective, kind of we've got obviously Lindsay's roots from South Africa.
Yeah.
Which we can tap into. She's already done a couple of talks out there with architects in that kind of remit. And I think we've kind of had talks with kind of people in Australia, some in America, about the growth of it. And I think from our perspective, we will obviously, I think REBA and the way the UK work in architecture is almost a golden standard across the board quite a lot.
Yeah.
Most other countries or regions follow very similar protocols.
Yeah.
Maybe there's slight changes in the way they evolve them. So we would basically just look at how we could evolve Pulse into other regions. I actually did a talk on this a couple of weeks ago with a girl doing it was for her master's project. She was interviewing founders on how they grow into different regions. And that's what kind of got my mind thinking about it more. Was how would I grow a business across into other countries or other kind of continents? And that was the question I answered basically was I'd only evolve it if there was demand for it there. And I'm not going to just suddenly create a version for every region just because I think I should. I think if someone approached us and said, I think that would be really helpful for my business, I'm based in Australia or China or something like that, then that would be our testing ground. We would use that company as a way to test it and build a version of Pulse for them. And once they've used it, that would then give us the information we need to know what did they use, what don't they use, what do they like, and how does it work for their region, and how it needs to evolve. So I think it's always going to be an evolving product.
You are going to be a very busy individual for a very long time. Yeah. And of course you have your day job. So you are you're somebody that's kind of 24/7 at the moment, I should imagine.
Yes, yeah, definitely am.
Which is good because, you're excited, passionate about it and quite rightly so as well. And it's, so what's the kind of next steps do you think for you then with Pulse and you're obviously the beta testing is taking place. You're going live to some of the pre-subscribed users.
Yeah, I think next step wise, it is just initially going live to waitlist users. I think we've already had people messaging us being like, "When is it coming? I need it."
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
that kind of wow, kind of good. I think we've got kind of 110 practices on the waitlist now,
yeah,
which is now we're just trying to get it going, get it out there. And kind of Lindsay's still going out and talking to lots of people about it. I'm kind of mainly focused on the product development at the minute, working with
yeah.
the team that are building it, and evolving it with them. And I think it's that, yeah, it's just at that point where I need to kind of draw the line in the sand and say, we're launching. This is the version that's going out.
You kind of do need to do that, don't you? Because
Yeah,
otherwise, yeah, how long's a piece of string? Yeah.
it is that question, how long's a piece of string? Because
Yeah.
I can build this for years.
Yeah.
I can keep refining it, and it will just sit on a shelf. Whereas
Yeah.
I need to now just get it out there and start getting real world feedback, and then grow it from there.
Yeah, you just need to say, right, I don't know, 1st of July, that's it, and work to the 1st of July. And then
I definitely agree with that. It's just doing a definitive date. And I think what happens is with the progressing it or evolving it, it's good that it's good that I have my day job and that I'm in the industry day to day, because I understand what needs to happen.
yeah,
I think if I was to have stepped out of the industry and then started it, you would lose then the real world experience with it. And I think that's one of the key selling points for us is it's built by architects for architects. We're not a big global tech company trying to solve problems which don't exist.
Well, it's another strap line right there, isn't it? Built for architects, by architects, yeah.
Yeah, exactly that.
There's lots of sales strap lines you can take from this call alone.
Exactly.
But no, well, absolutely fair play to you. Once it goes live, so obviously it's yours and you're using it. So although it's not live yet, I assume within your practice is it live now and you're using it to build, or is it, or you're not live with you yet?
Sort of. It's live for me at the minute.
Yeah.
And then I think this week, I think I've asked them to onboard all of my team here to start evolving it a bit better, or start working on it with them to see how it goes. But I think what's been happening more on it when I've been on it is I'm picking up bugs straight away, in terms of like, oh, it doesn't do this yet, it doesn't do this yet. So I'm kind of refining it at the minute with the dev team so that it's pulled up any issues that I'm getting with it. And I think what I'm almost trying to like hard test it, where I'm almost putting things in wrong to make sure it doesn't give the wrong thing. I'm putting in. We obviously have to train the system to read certain documents based on, so if you're uploading a fee proposal or scope of work, if you want to, when you're starting a project, how does it read them? And I think how I've been evolving at the minute is testing out different formats to ensure that it can still read the data. And I think one of the bugs they fixed recently was to do with that fact. Basically, I uploaded a completely different document style and it didn't read it well, which we've solved that now. But that's what I've basically been doing, is hard testing it to ensure that if someone upload something differently structured, differently worded, it would still be able to read it and understand it. And I think from how we've learned from that and solved that problem already was increasing the capacity of our AI models.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously, AI uses different models, different levels to do different tasks. So we now use a system basically which uses the correct model for the right task. So depending on how hard the task is, whether it's research, whether it's just data finding, it uses different AIs to do different elements of the tools.
Yeah. Well, it's of course that will be a challenge, I'd imagine, if you do go overseas and different countries. Not the language barrier, because AI that won't affect that at all. But different ways, like you say, Reba is the gold standard, but different ways of working. You know, it's going to be very different in Hong Kong to how it's done here in the UK, isn't it? So it's that's a problem for another day.
Yeah.
But I wish you all the best. I think you're really onto something. Genuinely, I've been working in this space. I'm not an architect in any way, shape, or form, but I've worked with architects for best part of 30 years now, and this is a really, really good idea that will gain a lot of exposure and traction. And once it's done that, people will be using it, most definitely. And that's the crucial thing here, is if an outsider looking in says, oh, I've got a relative understanding of the work that you do, and I can see that it would absolutely benefit people and be a game changer for those practices, then yeah, you're onto something.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's definitely got legs.
Yeah,
I think it's something that can be definitely widespread and well used. I think yeah, it's that. I think as from like a founding perspective, I've always had that mindset of keep going. I guess if you think you're on the
yeah,
right path, but also
yeah,
take opinions and listen to what's around you, listen to the industry you're in. I think it's sometimes there's noise around you that you kind of have to, and sometimes it's even from people close to you. I think when I first started coming up with the idea of Pulse and was speaking to some either friends in industry that something like that they had the opinion of, oh, it won't work, it will be
yeah,
done, but I think someone else will do it. And now it's got to where it is now. I definitely see a difference in their opinion.
yeah. Which is brilliant, isn't it? And
Yeah,
that's the best way of, you know, proving what you've done is by listening to the there's going to be naysayers right through your entire journey for the next 20 years, basically. There will always be the naysayers, and ignore those people and prove them wrong and just keep on going. And that's you know that's the best, you know, with me and Architecture Vogue. It's you know, an overnight success that's taken 30 years to build, basically. So
yeah. I think I heard the comment the other day from I think somewhere online. It was like it's always embarrassing or hard until it works.
yes, yeah,
So
yeah,
it's always if you. I think it was about someone posting kind of like social media content or things like that, and it's always embarrassing until it works, and then it's not
exactly.
embarrassing anymore once it's a success.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just keep going. But the main crux of all of this is that you've got a product that people will definitely benefit from and will definitely want to use, and it will enhance their lives and their daily working processes.
Mm,
That's it, isn't it? Basically, that is it.
completely.
So, no, well done. Well, look, Pulse. Remind us of the website. I will link it into this anyway. But it's Pulse hyphen centric, is it, or is it Pulse? I
No,
can't
it's
remember.
just one word, pulsecentric.com.
Okay,
Same as same as our I think Instagram handle is at pulsecentric. I think the same
yep,
for LinkedIn as well.
brilliant. Okay, well, it will be linked into this video when the podcast goes live.
Perfect.
And obviously the audience of Architecture Vogue get to see this, and LinkedIn followers of mine, and so on and so forth. But Lewis, no, thank you very much for joining me today. And you're onto something, so well done.
That's great. No, thanks for having me.